Capcom has fallen so far off the pedestal gamers once put them on, it's insane. They used to be such a beloved company, but every move they make now is controversial, and we're finding out that they're further censoring the Dead Rising Deluxe remaster, and of course, the mainstream media is praising them for it. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, it won't be very surprising to you to hear that Capcom is further censoring a remaster. Of course, one might say to themselves, if I don't like the content in the original game, how about I don't remake or remaster it? But that's not the mentality Capcom has. They want to milk every penny they can out of people, and nostalgia is a great way to do that. Instead of just making a new game without the controversial content, or I should specify the content they have deemed controversial that fans loved in the original releases, they've decided to censor them, and now the mainstream media, journo activists over at The Gamer and Kotaku are praising them. So starting off with this Bounding into Comics article, it says the upcoming Dead Rising Deluxe remaster has suffered yet more censorship, as Capcom has reportedly removed the erotica category from the game's photography mechanic. Now, I've talked a lot about Capcom over the past few years, and they have made some very controversial decisions. Of course, here's just a few of the videos I've made on them, quite a lot actually. Most recently is Capcom admits DEI quota to hire more females and Westerners, continuing down the destructive path they've been on. We know SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos recently added a trigger warning and censored key artwork. We have Capcom slamming modders, claims mods go against morals and public order. So they've definitely been focused over the past couple of years on morals and being virtuous, which nobody asked them to do. We simply want them to create good games and keep content as close to the original releases as possible when they're doing things like remasters, but that's proven impossible for them to do. It says in Dead Rising, prestige points serve as the game's form of experience points, which after being acquired can be spent to upgrade the protagonist, Frank West, in order to make him a more formidable zombie chopping machine. There are a number of ways players can earn said prestige points, including rescuing fellow survivors, completing missions, and of course, taking photographs. Upon snapping a photo, the image will then be categorized by how well the subjects in the photo represent a certain theme, but the other categories include brutality, drama, outtake, and erotica, which is photos of attractive female characters, particularly their breasts, their butt, their crotch, lingerie, sex toys being sold in the mall. I mean, a plethora of different things. But now we're actually finding out that the erotica photo category will not be returning. It says you can now take a wider variety of pictures than in the original. Various filters can be applied to the photos you take, and the outlet then notes, by the way, this is Famitsu, the erotica point of evaluation, which existed in the original version, is not available in this title, which of course is so sad to see because this is not supposed to be some very ominous horror game. It's not supposed to be a Silent Hill. It's comedic, like Lollipop Chainsaw, and that's what people fell in love with when this game originally released, and what you're doing now is you're watering it down. This is why I always bring up examples of censorship on this channel, because I don't want my content censored. This is an M for mature game, okay? I am an adult who can make decisions to play or to not play something, and to remove the themes and water them down is just disgraceful. It's disgraceful because it's an insult to the original creators, and it's an insult to the fans who would buy this remaster. We're seeing companies churn out remasters and remakes because they're relatively easy to do, but then they make changes like this, which just pushes so many people away. And if Capcom believes they're so virtuous, they would be making even more, in my opinion, bad decisions with this, because there are other adult themes in this game, so it makes no sense why they're removing one, but not all of them, probably because they realized that then they wouldn't have a freaking game. But it says, though, of course, that curiously, the censorship in the remaster appears to be rather inconsistent. Case in point, in a prior trailer and press release screenshots, we can see that the psychopath Joe Slade has returned for the remaster. Slade is a security guard who has taken several young women hostage. In the original, she claims one of her hostages is a, quote, whore who lured Franken. She then says, "Let's see how shameless you are, you dirty little skank," before suggestively rubbing her nightstick around her body while leering at her. So you would think, again, if they were so virtuous, right, they wouldn't have this content in there. So why leave Joe Slade in this entire storyline in? That's because this entire game is filled with sexually explicit and mature content, and that's okay. This was the original direction, the original vision, and you can't remove everything, so don't remove anything. It's so sad to see this happening, and what makes all of this even worse is that, of course, the mainstream media is praising this, saying how this is a good decision because these were uncomfortable themes. It's fine if you feel uncomfortable with certain themes that are in this game, that are in, Silent Hill 2, that are in any game that's supposed to have you on edge. It's supposed to make you feel disgusted at times, horrified at times, creeped out at times. We can't water down everything or we are going to have nothing left. As you can see, the gamers out here saying the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster no longer rewards you for risque photos. And then they talk about, ew, gamers are gonna be upset with this. It says Capcom hasn't said anything about the category, but Famitsu reported that it's been removed from this version of the game, and it doesn't come as much of a surprise considering it hasn't appeared in any of the gameplay showcases so far and is very much a relic of the past, but I'm sure this won't stop some terminally online people from getting annoyed about it, though. Yes, we are going to get annoyed when there is a remaster of a game that is censored to hell and back. Of course, people are not going to be happy. You are doing a remaster. You're just supposed to be updating graphics, updating gameplay mechanics, making sure there's not bugs or glitches, upgrading the audio, simple things. You're not supposed to be going in and completely altering the content that once existed. People loved Dead Rising for a reason, and if you want people who are nostalgic to buy this game, you have to provide that original product just enhanced. That's the point of a remaster. But instead of actually saying, hey, this isn't a good decision, they've decided to go ahead and say this is an amazing choice for them, and this is so awesome that they're doing this. Then, of course, we have Kotaku saying that this is actually a very, very good move because the forthcoming remake, which, by the way, it's not a remake, it's a remaster, this journo doesn't even know, could be removing one of its less appealing aspects. They actually talk about how they prefer the new Frank. They love his redesign that captures a tired, middle-aged freelance journalist, which, of course, John Walker here is gonna like that because that's exactly what he is. But he also talks about how he's happy that this is not going to happen, that the content in the game is toned down and these photos are not going to be taken. He says, I will prefer him even more if it's not an in-game requirement to go about taking down blouse shots like some sexual predator. These people are absolutely pathetic. They will go to any lengths to defend things like censorship. They are so inconsistent in their stances, and I know these are not the same journalists because, of course, John Walker here isn't someone who talked about Baldur's Gate 3, but you've got Kotaku out here over the past couple of years doing things like defending bear sex in games like Baldur's Gate 3, boasting about how many players bone the bear. And of course, Larian was allowed to create this content. I'm not sitting here saying it's not okay that you're playing this game, but my problem is their inconsistency. You've got Kotaku on one hand, praising things like sex and boning a bear, and on the other hand, going, ew, I don't want to take pictures of a woman's cleavage. All of these articles represent Kotaku and their stances, even if they're not the same journos, and it's just hilariously pathetic to see someone complain about how, ooh, in a video game with fictional characters, you had to take pictures of her cleavage. These people are absolutely pathetic, and so is Capcom for making these changes for, one would assume, modern audiences and global audiences. And these pictures, this erotica category being removed, isn't even the only piece of censorship with this remaster. I mean, it's just one of many. Of course, as previously reported, the remaster also censored the appearance of Larry Chang, changing him from a clearly Chinese character into one looking more obviously Caucasian. Though the official reasons behind this change are currently unknown, it's assumed that it was made in order to avoid depicting the obese and heavily accented Chinese man as anything that could be considered as an Asian stereotype. So, all in all, this is a very disappointing situation. You have Capcom bending the knee to outrage, further censoring the Dead Rising Deluxe remaster, removing the erotica category. Plus, we know that they did change bosses around, like Larry, and it will be interesting to see as we get closer to this official release what else they're going to alter, because at this point, we cannot trust Capcom at all. And over the years, again, I've talked a lot about Capcom and some of the decisions that they've made. And of course, they've faced a lot of controversy, and this is just another problem to add to the pile. Again, I will be keeping my eye on this to see what else has changed, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.